Hello and welcome. Today I am very excited because we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Dart Zone Max Omnia Pro. On the box, we see that the Omnia is a pro level motorized blaster. It ships with a 7.4 volt, 1800 milliamp hour rechargeable lithium ion battery. It's claiming 7 darts a second, which is very impressive, and we're getting 3 firing modes, so select fire. Let's jump right in and see what you get in the box. In the box, of course, you get the Omnia itself, the adjustable stock, a front sight piece, a rear sight piece, 2 of these red magazines. They look absolutely awesome. We of course get eye protection, the rechargeable battery, the charging cord, 30 of the max ruby darts, and of course the instructions. The battery compartment is located on the left-hand side, and similarly to the Kratos and Stratus Pro, you connect the yellow XT30s. This white connector right here is used when charging. Also, when you go to take the battery back out for charging, don't pull on the actual wires, pull on the XT30 connector exclusively. Now with the Omnia Pro out of the box, let's go over the blaster. First off, we do have 3 sling mounts on the blaster, 1 up front and 2 right here. I'm not sure how effective they're going to be, but it's nice that they're there. Back here, of course, we do have the adjustable stock. Like a lot of the Dart Zone stocks recently, it is N-Strike compatible and buffer tube compatible. This is a very versatile stock and I really like it. Up on the top of the blaster, we have a Picatinny style rail, and on it I have these 2 sights that are included, and I am pretty sure these are the same sights from the Nexus Pro. The rear one has this grenade launcher type thing that you can pull up. They're not exactly my cup of tea, but I'm sure some people are going to really like them. On the right side of the blaster only, we do have the jam door. You can actually rev the blaster when the jam door is open. I do want to talk about this area right here. Of course, we do have the magazine release. Now it is quite comfortable and the magazines will actually gravity drop, but I'm not the biggest fan of this rev trigger. It's a preference thing, but I prefer my rev triggers to be more low profile. If we move over to the left-hand side, we have the selector switch. In the most forward position, that is actually considered off or safe. So the blaster will rev up, but the trigger does nothing. In the next mode, you have single fire. Now this is an electronically controlled single fire, not like the Mark III. On the Mark III, every time you pull the trigger, a dart is going to come out. With this blaster, it is an electronic semi-auto, so it's not really semi-auto. It's more like a full auto restrictor. Let me demonstrate the latency. And this is what happens when you try to fire fast. Then in the next mode, we have 3-round burst. In this mode, every time you pull the trigger, it is going to fire 3 rounds. Then we have the final mode, which is full auto. And it is definitely a very impressive rate of fire, substantially higher than that of the Mark III. We do get 2 magazines in the box, so let's fire some at this target. First, I'm going to use single fire and then progressively go to full auto. This thing has a lot of power. That definitely seems very solid, especially in rate of fire and power, but let's take this thing outside and put it over the chronograph. We of course will be using the included darts, and we are in single fire mode. 151, 152, 153, 157, 151, and 149. So the Omnia is firing exactly like you'd expect a Pro Blaster to fire. Let's empty the remaining rounds downrange. We'll do 1 3-round burst and then the rest in full auto. Now that we've seen what this thing is capable of, let's go back inside and I'm going to wrap up my final thoughts. What are my final thoughts on the Dart Zone Max Omnia Pro? While I do have some critiques that I'm going to bring up, overall my experience has been very positive and I think this is definitely a great blaster. So what are my critiques? First off, it is just my preference complaints where personally I'm not the biggest fan of this rev trigger design. Besides that, in the semi-automatic mode, your trigger latency is quite substantial. As far as being a semi-automatic flywheeler, this thing is definitely not a replacement for the Mark III. Because I know some people definitely prefer to have a semi-automatic option or just use exclusively semi-automatic. The beauty with the Mark III is when you're in the semi-automatic mode, every time you pull that trigger, it's going to fire a dart, whether that's just once or in quick succession. So think of the semi-automatic mode as more of a restriction of full auto. So despite my complaints, why do I love this thing and who would I recommend it to? I would not buy this blaster if you're a primarily semi-automatic user. If you do lean more to semi-automatic, I would definitely recommend checking out the Mark III. That blaster has a beautiful, crisp, and responsive mechanical semi-auto that works really well. But if you lean more towards full auto, this blaster absolutely blows the Mark III out of the water. While the Mark III only fires at around 3 to 4 darts a second, this one definitely pulls off 7. And that is the main reason I really like this blaster. It is an absolute dart hose. That is why I think the Omnia Pro is a phenomenal value and would definitely recommend it. So if you're looking for a full auto pro grade blaster, look no further than the Omnia Pro. If you are interested in the Omnia Pro, I will have a Walmart link in the description. Very interesting that Dart Zone Max is now being sold at Walmart. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Dart Zone Max Omnia Pro. Have a good one and happy blasting.